Hey guys, it's Kate, and I hope you're having a great day. I'm back with another canvas. This is a 12 by 12, and it is just your basic average canvas, and it is pre-gessoed the way you get it. And I'm starting off with some mark making and some basic collage, just getting something on that white surface and getting started with the process. And if you watch my channel often, you'll probably recognize those collage papers that we made together on another video. So if you are interested in learning that or just getting some inspiration on some different marks you can make or different collage papers you can make sure to check out those videos. And I keep them on playlists too, just to try to keep everything on my channel organized since I have so many different topics that we cover together. But I love working transparent first, and I started doing that again in this one, breaking out the brayer and also the brush, and I'm even going to add some extra texture here with the alcohol. And that's just plain rubbing alcohol that I keep in a little spritzer bottle. And it really is nice to just have on hand for those things. I have in my arts and crafts room, I have a little cart that always sits next to me. It's one of those little tiny 3-tier utility carts. And it is really handy just to hold those supplies that you tend to grab all the time. So like I keep my matte gel in there that you can see. I keep my matte medium, which I think I just squirted on my little palette there, my spray bottles, and the types of things that I just tend to go for all the time. And I'm really enjoying the process working on these canvases. It's a little bit different than what I do on paper. And part of that is that the canvas can really handle a lot more being thrown at it. So I don't feel like I have to be so gentle where I might get buckly paper or have to tape stuff down or, not being able to scrape on something or just be a little bit rougher. And so there's a little bit more freedom in the canvas that I have really started to enjoy, and just putting lots of layers down. And, when you're working on anything and you're doing something that is like intuitive art, it's easy to put down a lot of layers, cover up a lot of layers, and end up sometimes with something completely different than what you started with. And that really, for me, is part of the satisfaction of the process. Just because something might not end up in the finished piece doesn't mean it doesn't have its place in the process, and it can serve just as a really important step in that journey to the finish. Even if it's a project that takes a long time or several sittings, or it could even be something that you paint and then come back to after several days or weeks or even longer. I've looked in old sketchbooks that I just would like to either redo it or do something differently, because you never know, when your eyes are fresh again, you might see something different or see another opportunity. And that's just part of the process that I like a lot. So I've got my idea here, and I've decided to go with floral. Surprise. And so anyway, I got my transparent mixing white, and I have been really liking using that on the canvas, especially because it kind of calms down some of the busyness around whatever my focal area is going to be. Now, one of the drawbacks is, depending on the thickness of it or what it's going over, it and it's not just the transparent mixing white, it's really anything, but you kind of can get a little bit of a, I don't know, muddy look, and it's sort of this weird dividing line. And so what I did was I started to glaze over that a little bit with some of that green, and I'm also working on adding a little bit of the texture and marks back in, and I think that really does a lot to help just blend everything together so it doesn't look like I've just got this sort of weird blank space on the canvas in the middle of all this texture and marks. So having that sort of uniting factor is important to me to have, and it's something that I've been trying to focus more on so that things look more cohesive and not just looking like it just got plopped down on the page or canvas in this case. So I'm working on right now kind of uniting things together. And this one was a little bit of a challenge because I knew I wanted to have those flowers there, but I just wanted to be happier with the background. And so I started kind of using my little stamper in the paint. I'm adding some more touches here and there. I even traced around some of those stencil bubbles from way back several layers ago at the beginning. And now I'm adding more contrast to the outside of the flowers. And when you're sitting here looking at this video and you're watching this going, I think one thing that kind of jumps out is nothing on here, or at least very little, is especially dark or especially light. It's all kind of one tone. Even the white, because it's so transparent, it just kind of fades. And so I knew I definitely needed to add some more contrast, and even just adding that little bit of black there was kind of a big help. I mean, it just puts a strong line in there where, yes, this is what I want to be looking at, or this is where the eye should go, and it's something interesting and it adds a little bit of depth, and not everything is sort of all the same color. I mean, same, color range, I guess. So I'm putting in that black, but this one was a journey to get to the just where I wanted to be. And I ended up really loving the final version of this, but it was a process to get there. And so I ultimately decided to add kind of a larger pattern to the background altogether. And in some of my recent projects, I've been kind of developing a little bit of a love for adding some kind of pattern element to whatever I'm working on. And it's even been in some of the more realistic things, but I've really enjoyed kind of delving into a little bit of a folk arty feel, especially since I started playing with my gouache. But anyway, I'm kind of bringing a little bit of that in here. And so I'm doing basically some very large polka dots on the background and filling those in with some nice bright white. And that goes a bit to adding some of that contrast. And you can still kind of see through to the background, and it's behind my flowers, which I still want to be the main, attraction on this canvas. But it just adds another extra layer of interest in the painting, and it helps bring everything together, and it reinforces those circle patterns that I've already got down there too. So it's just, well, basically larger bubbles. So I'm finishing working on those, and I'm outlining them more with the black and adding a little bit more brightness to them. But now's the time I'm using to really work on those flowers and give them something special to bring them out even more from the background. And so I grabbed my first Posca pen, and I'm going over there with a nice bright red that I don't really have anywhere else on the canvas. I've got kind of the greens and purples and even the earthy browns and stuff. So I got that nice pop of brightness on there and a little bit of line work, which I thought worked really well here. And I'm just sort of tracing the outline of the flower and adding just details. It's not a realistic flower, but it turns out it turned out really cute. I'm kind of watching this as I do the voiceover, so um, I go with my little dashes patterns and stuff, and so it ended up being a really fun canvas, and I went a little nuts with the pattern. So then I grabbed the white one and I'm doing the little lines on those polka dots. But I think that was kind of the turning point here where I figured out what I thought would work really well, and I ended up being really happy with the finished product. And I'm doing more patterns and more patterns. And this is a very pattern heavy canvas, but also you can see a much larger range of the darks and lights, and that's what I wanted also. So you can see darkness, you can see the white, and it's also cohesive in the background, and that sort of muddiness is gone from where we had put that transparent mixing white to kind of bring out the flowers in the first place. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some inspiration, or you just enjoyed watching. But until next time, keep creating.